Greetings, folks! We are just about to get underway with the first Enter Tournament Async seed here. And unfortunately on a bit of a timer today, so we're going to get right into it, and we may end up needing to cut this one short. Hopefully that we finish and or get into go mode before all that. But otherwise, we'll do the best we can. For this one, I'm actually just going to be playing through, talking pretty thoroughly about the items we're getting, what I'm thinking, kind of what I would be thinking as a runner playing this game. Gonna be sticking to not quite the logic. Might mix in some kind of easy-ish, like intermediate kind of tricks, but we're not going to be busting out the full toolkit here, so not going to be doing much out of bounds or any of that kind of stuff. We will try to play this kind of straight up. Space jump in temple grounds, alright. Space jump in temple grounds. So, generally that hint is like for the elevator, if it's going to be for anything. So my prediction is that space jump's just in the elevator. We like to scan this thing first so that we don't have to wait for it to close after the conclusion of this fight. I'm surprised those guys didn't die. I'm still a little bit sick, unfortunately, so pardon my coughing throughout. So while we deal with this guy, he's kind of an auto-scroller. One thing I do recommend is making sure that you have a way to write down all the hints you're going to receive over the course of the game. Not necessarily all of them, but any of the key bearer hints, your SDK hints, and potentially important translator hints that you aren't able to, that you might not remember or immediately be able to turn in. Like, for instance, I did not write down that space jump in Temple Grounds hint, just because at this point there's not enough going on that I expect to potentially forget it. But I will write down most of the hints that I receive over the course of the game. Lots of valid ways to do it. I myself am a pen and pencil enjoyer, or I guess pen and notepad, technically. There's an amber up there. And what I like to do is pre-populate some sections on my notepad with all of the like known hints. So, for instance, I wrote down 8 of the 9 ink caches. I don't bother with the hive entrance hint because nobody literally ever scans that. But I have the other 8 locations written down, and at some point if I scan that key bearer, ooh, a PB up there is interesting. PB up there is very interesting. Oh, actually, space jump might just be here, huh? It is. Alright. So we will take this power bomb. And now we do actually have an interesting choice of whether or not we want to do some sequence breaking with this power bomb or not. I personally am somewhat disinclined to, because like it's always awkward to turn around. Like wherever you're going to turn around, you're going to end up needing to do backtracking. And so like you're always going to feel forced to continue, otherwise you're like wasting time backtracking. But then this turns into a pretty long commitment of going like all the way to kind of like the save station, like back to Great Temple. And that feels like a little much. Like we can't do the GFMC ship check right now. You'd have to do some cool dashes to get across. Wind chamber, alright, first lake beam related, so we get written beam down next to a cursed lake on my little notepad. Going back to the notepad, the other things I've written down are the names of the 3 bosses, so Morbus, Chica, Quad, and Tumos, so that when I scan a hint that says, for example, Quad is a missile expansion, I just write an X next to Quad to know that Quad is dead. Oh, you know, I'm being an idiot because I'm talking. When we got that spaceship, we were like absolutely supposed to go get that amber before coming to Aegon. That's a mistake on my part. This is the trouble with multitasking with my brain. So we are going to pretend, I'm going to save warp, and we're going to pretend that I just turned around after grabbing that power bomb, because absolutely what we should have done is gone right back up the elevator and grabbed that amber. We want amber before ray gun, unlock sand cache. And it gets us lots of hints, early game hints. Amber hits often aren't that strong, just because like you kind of are forced to follow the logic pretty well early on, and you're kind of going to be full clearing a gun at early temple grounds anyways. But sometimes it helps you order things in a slightly more efficient way, and so we appreciate it for those reasons. And also sometimes you're kind of guaranteed key or boss hints might be amber locked, and those may end up being quite relevant later. Come on. Alright, there's our anchor. Answer question in chat. Yeah, welcome in, Jungle Boss. Play for the seed is play it, talk a lot about what I'm thinking as we go. I'm going to be sticking to kind of like beginner to intermediate tricks. We're not going to be busting out the full toolkit here. But I will talk about things that, like, if I were using my full toolkit, I'll say like how it would, what I would be doing and how it would change how I'm approaching the seed. Okay, back to our regularly scheduled Gigon here. Yeah, it's hard. Like, I do talk out loud when I play these races by myself, but like to say everything that's like I'm thinking is hard without like distracting myself. With Space Jump, I do like to do this peek. Cool. STK Mining Closet, love that for us. Oops. Okay, that hint says that Annihilator is in Sank entrance. That is one I'm going to write down because that might take a hot minute to be able to get. So Annie, Sank, Ent is what I wrote. And it could be worth getting a kind of shorthand, as long as you're able to interpret the notes you write. Because I'm usually I take my right hand off my controller to write stuff down, which does occasionally cause little movement blunders. So minimizing the amount of time it takes you to write stuff down is quite nice. The order of this check and sand cache to me kind of depends on whether or not I'm planning to do the Jump Guardian loop next. If I was going to head to Jump Guardian, I would do sand cache and then come down here. But since we don't have bombs, I'm going to gamble on bombs not being exactly in sand cache, and we'll plan to go do Bomb Guardian first. If I'm wrong, then we lost a little bit of time in Portal. Nice to say, but I'm not worried about it. Oh boy. Movement system and ATS. That is never screw attack. That's Seekers. Okay. Alright, so movement, ATS. The Seekers are an interesting item. They don't really do a whole lot on their own. Generally, to me, they say that like Boost Ball is coming soon, and then you have to think about things like the side entrance to Torvis, sometimes Hall of Honor Dead, sometimes Mine Shaft. Oh, that roll jump at ATS is trash. I have tried for it in the multi-world and had no success. I should have put up the screw attack. Okay, well, that's nice. So a couple options here. we could play Temple Grounds. We also, Screw Attack also gives us the front couple checks in labs. Since we're in Aegon, it seems fine to me to just do these front couple checks in labs. But Screw Attack did also put things like the GFMC crate in logic for us. So could be suggesting that. I'm gonna fail to skip this fight because I don't know how to do this. Yep. Nice dodge, Pirate. Oh my god. I don't normally whip this many shots. Main power bombs, alright. Early main power bombs to me often say you're supposed to do the Temple Grounds loop. They open a lot of items over there. But I think it's still worth sticking our nose into Command Center here real quick. Be very careful if you ever have to do this room with just Screw Attack. It is in logic to break this, but if you just Screw Attack onto this thing and fall in, you'll get it force morphed, and if you don't have explosives or boosts, you're soft lock. So you can abuse the fact that your Screw Attack thing hitbox goes off pretty far to the side, just kind of Screw Attack like this. It'll break this thing, you can move around and kill these. That is a very common trap that most everyone is going to fall into at least once. We got a missile, sure, whatever. Not much else for us in labs here without the beams or bombs, so we outie. Do I actually care about these mains? I don't actually know that I care about grabbing the mains here. That's kind of want the hint. And the knowledge that mains exist. We already have two. You're likely to find another. There's nothing wrong with grabbing these if you want them, though. But I do want this. Battleground morph ball related. Alright. BG morph. And you can see I run into a thing because I'm writing, but at least we were still moving while writing, which is good enough. Even if it wasn't optimal movement. So the landing, so at this point we're playing Temple Grounds. The only checks we have are Temple Grounds. If we were doing a landing site start, a save warp out of here is good. Out of the safe station and mining plaza. As it is, I'd rather just take the elevator out. We'll do the Dark Missile Trooper loop and then proceed to GFMC. Yeah, early on these seeds, I find that you're mostly just kind of following the logic and full clearing. Rushing to immediately chase the items you find, I don't really care for quite as much in the super early game, unless it's like, you know, if you have two checks that are kind of, you know, 50-50 away from you distance-wise, and one of them is newer in logic and the other isn't, then like obviously go chase the newer check just because of how the forward weighting algorithm works. But I don't really, early on, I don't really condone just like bum rushing, like leaving checks behind that are available to go off and do the latest, coolest thing. You know, like we could have turned around, I mean, power bombs and not done Command Center. But, like, that seems like it's going to get you into trouble more often than it's going to really help you. Just because it does take a decent number of items to get rolling in Echoes. So even if... we're not going to... Probably didn't need to grab that there. We probably would have gotten one for free during the rest of the hive chambers. Just kind of annoyed that I didn't get a drop. Ugh. Instant roll shots. Instant morphs. We're washed up. So if I do another one of these, which unfortunately will have to be in a couple weeks because I am a couple hours away from going to the airport to travel for a couple weeks for the holidays, I might do one that's a little more focused on like movement and boss fights and that kind of stuff. Just kind of explaining that kind of stuff as I go through the scene. But yeah, for this one, just mostly going to be commenting on decision making. So as it turns out, it seems like we would have potentially been rewarded for chasing that out of logic powerbomb expansion. So that feels a little bit bad for us if we're in a race, because you never know if your opponent might have gone for that. Yeah, there's indeed our dark beam. Oh, right. Old patchy things. Let's see. We got our 3 PBs anyways. Who even needs mains? With how reliable it is to get back to 1 from 0 power bumps in this game. Oh my gosh. I'm usually not too worried. Like if you have at least your 3 for Emperor 2, that seems usually like it's plenty to me. Oh gosh. So used to new patcher. Yeah, the crate could have actually been in logic quite early if Emerald is over here somewhere. Oh my gosh, we can get so many power bombs. So while we're over here, we're going to clear out everything. Do the wind chambers, head over below the save station Great Temple, which is going to be out of logic right now unless it is exactly Emerald there. But even though it's a... Ooh, you gotta watch your health. Hello, suits. Suit's a little troublesome. There's a... No, I think the chance is too small. There's a very small chance that, like, Light Beam is in, like, Phazon grounds. I think I'll check that if and only if Emerald is below the save station, because then it would be in logic. But if that is out of logic, then I don't think I'm too excited about making a PONR check right now, because it is kind of slow. Sure, what's up, Jay? I don't really know why I bothered getting health there, because we're right about to hit a safe station. Could have just screwed attack directly to the door. That's a little bit of a mental mistake there. Just like hard to not react when you're see energy low on your screen, but like there's no way we take 28 damage here. 5. Oh my god, another PP. We'll still take it, I guess. So if we had grabbed mains and duped to the one, we'd have 9 power bombs already. Kind of insane. This is my confidence that I did not bother to save there. Honestly, I think saving there was probably wise. We're still on 1 E tank. Can kind of go sideways pretty quick on one E-tank, or 0 E-tanks, I guess. And we're 20 minutes in, so a full reset would be pretty bad. So yeah, saving is good. Loses a bit of time if you do it excessively, but it can save you an immense amount of time if you do end up taking a death and it stops. Like a full reset kind of thing. Okay, sorry, typing in the Discord for a second there. So all we got is Dark Beam, eh? Still no bombs, which definitely limits some other potential riding. Nice lock on, that was weird. Potential riding options in Aegon, so really all we can do is go back to labs with Dark Beam. We have storage B, we have storage D, and then we have the point of no return check of entry. That's really about it. So then what we do next kind of depends on whether or not we find bombs or light beam, which I'm kind of assuming are the next steps in the logic chain. Alright, what do we hear? E-Tech, yeah, we'll take those. And then whether or not it's worth it to kind of spend time picking up E-Tanks depends a lot on your comfort level with final bosses, as well as your suit situation. If you're still suitless, I kind of recommend just picking up every E-Tank, unless it's like truly an atrocious check. But once you have a suit or two, you gotta get away with stopping grabbing E-Tanks after a certain point. I probably grab more missiles than I need to, because I'll just grab them if they're somewhat quick, even if they're like truly of like no value. Oh, you dick. Of like no value to me. More things that I don't have to deal with anymore with new patcher. Having to reload that room. Forgot about that stupid pirate spawning there. So it's a nice little quick kill here. Alright, I'm not forgetting anything if it's not storage D, right? It has to be doomed entry. Am I wrong? No, not wrong. Take a peek at this. It's good to know the screw attack method to get this item. I think it's not that difficult to learn. And being able to clear out a little more labs first pass here when you have screw attack, which is fairly common to get early. Pretty sure that's missile related. Knowing this trick is nice. I'm not going to do it this time because I think this is a bit challenging, but I do really like this trick just because, again, now that we're going to be pretty close to full clear with labs, having to come back here kind of sucks because it is kind of out of the way to get here from anywhere else in the game. It's kind of slow to go through these rooms. So minimizing the risk that you need to come back here late game is nice, which is why stuff like you'll see a lot of people do that room out of logic when they're here with the BSJ strats, Bob Space jumps. You'll sometimes even see people use an out of bounds to take a peek at storage C here and potentially grab it if it's important. And all that's because labs kind of sucks to come back to. It is really nice just in general, like if an area is full clearable and you're kind of there and you're close to full clearing it, just actually finishing it off can be pretty strong just as a risk reduction that you ever need to like spend a bunch of time getting back here in the late game. All right. So we still have the potential for something like a vanilla light beam or a light beam and doomed entry. The problem with those checks right now is if we do them, we have no way back into light Aegon aside from taking a save warp, which kind of puts us in no man's land. So we don't really want to do that right now, in my opinion. So I'm just going to walk out of here and head back towards Jump Guardian Loop. True. We're gonna roll out. Hey, Grizar. Yes, rolling is faster than walking in this game. Screw attacking is as fast as rolling, except for the fact that you have the kind of lag frames as you end, like the kind of finishing the screw attack animation is just kind of pure time loss. So it wasn't unreasonable to go do something like Aegon Energy Controller before this. The reason I'm putting it off is because I would like to have Light Beam, so that when I go into Mine Shaft, I can full clear that area. So that's my goal with putting off that check. It also, like, if we can also find Light Beam. Oh no. Oh no. Am I going to be late to the airport or cutting the stream off early? We'll see. Vanilla Dark Visor, hooray. Surely that's not required for a key in Reliquary. So the early Aegon loop, if you are lacking Dark Beam or missiles, especially if you're lacking missiles, I really like doing this bomb slot and immediately backing out. Also, if you have Boost Ball and Dark Beam, I kind of like just doing this bomb slot, backing out, and then taking the portal in Crossroads. The reason for that is it sucks, especially without missiles, it sucks to isolate Trial Tunnel early game, because then when missiles show up, that's a really nasty backtrack to have to do. Similarly, Incash 4 is one of those checks where, like, if I don't get to do this first pass, this check is so painful to come back to that I'll often end up skipping it. And every time you do something like that, you're taking a bit of a risk that you get very punished. Missing an STK here isn't the worst thing, because at least the game would have told us to come back here eventually, but, you know, if you miss something like a Super Missiles, where it's, like, not necessarily even obvious that you missed an important item, Spider Ball and Boost can do stuff like that too. Like, if you miss a good mid-game item here, that isn't immediately obvious that you're short something, that could be danger. Yeah, Lightbringers deserve death, I'm sorry. They have knocked me off that bridge one too many times. And then when you get moments to think like this, good to kind of just think about, okay, what am I doing next, right? Like, I know, you know, the next 2 minutes I am doing this stuff, right? Like, I'm right here, we're doing jump guarding, we're doing Trial Tunnel, but what's next? When you get a moment to kind of breathe, make sure that you kind of have a game plan of what you want to do next. So our next play is to the Aegon Temple area. That's kind of all we have left, so it's kind of straightforward, I guess, here. Oh, I actually shot him enough. It's so bad at, like, actually paying attention to how much damage I'm dealing to this boss. So yeah, after this, what's still in logic? So we have the GFMC ship is now in logic, which is kind of a shitty check for us. We would love to wait until we can at least grab the Annihilator that's in Sank entrance before playing back to GFMC. We might not be allowed to do that, but it's a long trek to GFMC, and having to do it 3 times over the course of the seed doesn't sound very appealing to me. So going back to GFMC now isn't really at the top of my list. Granted, we only have, I think, like 2 other checks that aren't point of no returns. Yeah, I really just hope there's something in. Okay, so yeah, we have Transport Center into Aegon Energy Controller into Mineshaft. If all of that's garbage, our only non-point PONR check is the ship. At which point we could just decide to dive Dark Labs. We could dive Dark Labs, take the save warp, and then play the ship from there, rather than having to walk out the front of Aegon, and we kind of get the Doomed Entry check for free. The reason that plays awkward is then, like, what do you do about Incash 1? Checking Incash 1 is such a freaking time commitment without Light Beam. Well, that kind of sucks. I guess what we could do is play. Okay, at least we're getting the Torpus keys. Were those both in Aegon? Should also write down where you got these keys from, so that when you get the hint later, you remember which region you're lacking a key from. That's actually a mistake on my part. I did not pay attention to where the first Torpus key came from. There have been times where I've, like, gone and watched my VOD, like, gone back in time on my playthrough to see where I got these keys, to know that information for when the hint turns up. It is legal to go back and, well, watch your old feed of a race mid-race. It's hard to do that without losing time, but sometimes getting that information of knowing where to look is more valuable. So we do this first. Again, we want Light Beam before Mineshaft so that we can check Storage A. Whereas like this area we know we can always obtain because it's just free. Hello, supers. Well, we sure are wrong ordering this seed, huh? Alright, supers. Supers. So, with supers in Dark Suit are somewhat suggesting something in Battleground. Supers also can point towards the front of Corvus. We'll come in here, we can at least get the visual check. This item I don't think is in logic right now. Maybe it is. I always forget the true logic for this item because I just do the BSJ screw attack for this. But at least we'll get the hint. Oh my god. Yeah, this seed's bad. Alright, so the Dark Visor is required. I'll also need a light suits. That's a good hint, though. Alright, well, we have... So, okay, so we still have the 2 point of no return checks of Doomed Entry into Vanilla Light Beam. Those are fairly low priority for me, just because, like, PONR checks are slightly unfavored by the randomizer. It sucks that we have to save warp out of Dark Labs right now without a beam to escape. Because Great Temple doesn't have any new checks, nor does even the... And we have to go out like towards the Aegon side, and there's nothing new to do over there either. So save warp isn't terribly appealing right now. So we're already in Aegon. Let's take a look at the... We have 2 new checks, Lower Battleground and Warrior's Walk. That could be something good behind the supers. The dark suit also is putting the Lower Battleground check into logic. We've not seen any use for that yet. It's not... You don't want to go like too crazy, like questioning why the game is giving you things and not using it, because it can't just do that. Like, it can't just place progression because it unlocks the check and then decide to not actually put anything behind it and go off on its own, a whole different logic chain. But all else being equal, if you've gotten an item and it hasn't been like logically hard required for anything yet, it is somewhat more interesting to think about following it. Free SDK, take those. And are we right? How about a light beam right here? Hey. Alright, now the world is opening up a bit for us. So we're already here in labs. So I don't really mind trying to just finish it off at this point. So if this fight with no good beams is unfortunate. Come on. Alright. So yeah, we're already here in labs. Light beam makes this a lot quicker to clean up the last few checks here, so let's finish off. We'll probably just take the save warp. So now the save warp is nice because light beam amber gets us out towards Torvus. We have supers, we have seekers, so we can check SDK hints, which is always generally going to be a very good thing to do promptly once you're able to, just to know A, what items are going to be hard required to beat the seed, B, what checks you must not skip, and C, sometimes just like help guide you into which region to clear, in that like if I can get all of the STKs out of a region, and I can't out of the other. Searching that region where I can get all the STKs out from first is nice, because at least I know I might not need to backtrack there. And like we need to go there eventually for the STKs anyways, so like you can go get those STKs while you hunt for whatever your go mode is. So nothing too exciting in these 2 checks, which is fine. So we are still lacking the means to get our storage C. You know what? You know what? Let's just do it. Man, maybe not. This is probably my... It's more valuable to do storage C here if you do sand processing at the same time. Otherwise, you still are leaving a check hanging over your head. But it's not that slow to go get storage C out of the way now, whereas it would be very slow to ever need to come back here later if we're about to take a safe warp anyways. It's not unreasonable to skip this check if you want to just kind of press on into hints and or to Torvis. Particularly if I have Emerald and Torvis to access, like, you ain't stopping me from going to Torvis. Like, Upper Torvis is very dense. If you also are getting hints there, that's just like such a strong combo. It's not, you know, nothing. There's no like 100% rules in routing this game. Like everything is kind of just like a bunch of factors which kind of often compete with each other, and you're just trying to decide what is predominating. Like going to places with check density is good. Going to places with checks that recently unlocked is good. Going to places that you can full clear everything is good. Going to places with hints is good. Going to places where SDKs or something are that you need to get and doing stuff on the way is good. Like, so there's like a bunch of different reasons why you may or may not want to do certain things. And just like, yeah, doing checks near where you currently are so you don't leave them behind is good. Like isolating stuff is bad, I guess. So yeah, lots to think about. And that's where, like, I always say, like, I don't even trust that I would route the same seed the same way every time. Like, I feel like how I would weight some of those factors sometimes is just, like, depending on what I ate for breakfast that morning. I don't know. It ends up feeling like just instincts. Even though there's, like, a lot of inputs to that function. That do get kind of dialed with and played around with time. And I think it's interesting to kind of try to question your decisions or think about, like, if you had done things differently, how it would have played out this seed. You don't want to overlearn lessons that way. Like, you know, like this seed, taking the power bomb out of logic into GFMC was good. That's not always going to be the case, so I'm not going to like immediately decide that, oh, absolutely you should, if you get a power bomb early, you should, you know, go to GFMC with it. But if I kind of notice that keeps happening, then maybe you start to wonder, okay, am I actually undervaluing getting those early game checks done out of the way while you're in Double Grounds before you go to Aegon, so that you can hopefully stumble on a Dark Beam or something like that that's going to open up new checks for you. But yeah, so we can get hints, so we will. Alright. We have 2. How bad could they be, right? And again, all of these are getting written down onto a notepad as I read them. So that I can look down at any time, I can cross them off as I do them, that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, Echo's menus are very slow. Mad Vista. Other Temple. Ah, that feels bad. Sand proc. So again, that I do actually really like being able to check sand processing out of logic. What am I doing? Pause axis. Alright, mining plaza. Oh man, we need so many red keys. UTAC. Okay. A lot of times, like if you're kind of off in the middle of, if you're in the middle of clearing a region when you get whatever item lets you do hints, it's often pretty nice just to save somewhere, save warp, get the hints, get yourself blown up by those eye laser guys, and go right back into your route from where you were with the extra information in hand. For here, this was already kind of naturally in a transition between like finishing up Aegon and going into Torvis. Our plan always was to go into the front of Torvis from here. But yeah, you get the 2 extra hints when you come in from the front like this, which is nice. The 2 violet hints, and then SDK hints are super valuable. So sand processing kind of sucks for us. Interesting. Surprisingly late Seeker's Hint. I wonder if Amber was technically placed somewhat late. I guess I should explain why I said that. So the way the hint system works, as the generator is placing items, so it's taking a forward fill approach, so it starts you off in your start location with no items, and it sees which locations you can reach and which events you can trigger, and it's going to choose to do one of those, or it's going to choose to either do an event or place an item in one of the reachable locations that will hopefully expand your reach. Each time it places an item, it kind of reevaluates what you can do in the game, including what translators hints you have access to. And from then on, whenever it places another item, it has a reasonably high chance of placing a hint for that item at that translator, at one of the available translator locations if it's not already been a hint placed there. And I guess I should add, before any of this happens, all of the always hints are placed first. So your boss key hints, your boss hints, your joke hints, all of those are going to take up random spots in the hint pool first before anything else happens. And so what that means is when something's hinted, it generally means the the game kind of expected you to have access to that area before that item got placed. B, that item was logically placed by the generator, which means it's more likely than otherwise that that item is required for some reason in the future. Yeah, I guess A and B. There's a couple things that can mess with that assumption, so you can't take that 100% for granted. One is there are certain items like Light Suit is always going to be logically required for defeating Dark Samus, even if Light Suit's not needed for any Sky Temple keys or something like that. So a hint for a Light Suit, I think even like an Echo Visor, those can exist just to help you fight final bosses, and if you're comfortable fighting final bosses without them, then it can be the case that you don't want to read too much into a hint that's like telling you Echo is somewhere, because it could just be giving it to you for final bosses and not actually putting anything interesting behind it. The other thing that can mess with you is sometimes as it goes through that kind of forward fill process of placing hints for things as it's doing stuff, as it's putting more items and triggering events and making the playthrough. Sometimes hint locations will never get a hint assigned to them, in which case random major items, preferably random major items, are going to get picked and put into and be hinted at random locations. And if there aren't enough major items, then you get hints for just like any old item. And that's why, like, if you're playing a multi-world seed, you get like quote unquote deleted. Like your seed doesn't have much progression in it. That's why you get like the amazing hints like a missile expansion could be found in Sanctuary. Okay, Torvus Bog. It should always... Any item it places should be either something that expands your reach, something that lets you trigger an event, or is part of the game deciding to place multiple items at once to give you something new. It shouldn't just place something to place something, is my understanding anyways. But what I did learn recently is that, like, events are treated about the same as access to new checks, in terms of, like, the value that the randomizer gives to the action. So, like, Sphere 0 of this game, right? Like, we have Violet, we can get down to the temple assembly site. The game actually does think about Light Beam as a valid thing to give you, literally just to move the block in Industrial Site, which is kind of dumb, because that's an event. Well, it's dumb from like the sense of like if you were a person trying to design a seed, that is not how you should do it, but it like makes sense in the terms of like how you would need an algorithm to be able to approach things to handle a game that has events like this. But you need to do certain things that have implications on the game world to advance. And we really are not finding much stuff here, huh? Alright, so yeah, a lot of the world's open to us. This seed kind of sucks because both Taurus and Sank opened up at the same time when we got Light Beam. And we don't have any more translators. And we're still hunting for a bunch of items. So this is one of those like annoying seeds where it's not super clear what you're supposed to do. If we had some translators and we were closer to go mode, I would be pretty aggressively pushing for translator hints here, to try to just get myself into go mode without having to spend time doing a bunch of extra checks. In a seed like this, I more kind of expect that I'm going to need to come somewhat close to a full clear, which means I'm going to be more thorough. So from here, the next play is Lower Torvus. If you are comfortable with Mr. Cashby Chasm, I would be doing it here, but we can take the normal path into... So yeah, Lower Torvus isn't in logic. We need Grav or Boost to do like hardly anything there. That said, Lower Torvis is about as good a way into Sank right now as anywhere else. That said, again, we do have the option of taking the Tourist Aegon elevator and doing the light beam locked stuff in Aegon. How much do I hate that versus the Lower Torvis dip? I think, to me, that's a matter of your comfort with Lower Torvis. I think because Training Chamber is the only... No, Under Temple stuff too. Yeah, this sucks. This really sucks. And we can't even get freaking Plaza access right now. So we're leaving a key behind here in Upper Torvis. We're leaving a key behind in Aegon. 2 keys in Aegon. There's no keys in Sank somehow. No hints anywhere. So yeah, everything feels pretty horrible right now, honestly. Spider Balls in Dungeon. Yeah, let's stick to... I think... this really feels like a toss-up to me. About whether you're supposed to just dive into Vault Side Sank from Lower Torvis, or go through Aegon into Spider Side Sank. We're going to Sank either way. But this doesn't require any special tricks, so we'll just go this way. This might actually even be better because we know we have to go back into Lower Torvis anyways. Like, if Training Chamber was the only SDK in Lower Torvis, I think going down there, getting an SDK, and going into Sank is really good. But as it stands, it's a little less valuable. So again, yeah, we're still kind of the mindset that we might just be forced to full clear the seed. So I'm going to be thorough here in Aegon, which means we are going to go down and do Storage A, then we do Sand Canyon into Event Area A. Yeah, so that's kind of a whole nother thing on top of, like, all of the different factors that make doing certain checks good or not. Is like, there's also this kind of sliding scale of how aggressively you're approaching the seed. And there's a lot of different things that kind of play into that as well. Which is like, the more items you are away from go mode, the more kind of thorough defensively you should be routing. The more ahead or favored in execution you are, perhaps you should lean a little bit more towards, okay, that's good. Playing thoroughly and defensively. If you're close to go mode, if you have multiple translator hints that you've not scanned yet available to you, that can let you play more aggressively, where you can be a little less thorough, play towards your known keys, play towards your known hinted items, play towards new hints, and chase those. And try to, like, if it's a jet seed, play it like a jet seed and get a really good time. But if you try to play a shitty slow seed like a jet seed, you're often going to have a very bad time if you just leave checks all over the place. It's going to be an absolute nightmare having to constantly cycle through places cleaning up stuff. Light suit. Are we really meant to go to a feeding pit right now? We might. I really hate that, though. Like, not that much of Stank is... Actually, yeah, so little of Stank's in Logic, huh? Maybe I was wrong. Yeah, I was wrong. Actually, not that much of Stank's in Logic with that spider. Here, tell you what. We'll dip into Spider Side sank. And do these 3 checks, and then we'll go play Feeding Pit, and then we'll think about what to do next. Show me like a boost ball here so we can just get sand processing over with. I honestly might just sequence break sand processing just for the interest of my time. As we head towards Feeding Pit. What else does Lightsuit do? Oh. Well, we need that, but not yet. Alright, so we found a worm key in Hive. We found one in... It was Dagon, right? It was... In Cache 1, I think, was a worm key. I don't remember where our first Chica key was. One was out of Aegon. We didn't get the key hits, did we? Did I just like zone through it over that because I was talking? In my mind, I don't have either key hit right now. So we're gonna do this out of logic. We'll just do just some light cheating. If you aren't comfortable with this strat, would probably just need to route this in when we come back from Morbus, because we will be back in Aegon to do a Morbus. But it probably saved the most time to do this when we were first in labs, and it probably saves a little bit of time to do it now versus later. So. Really? Why are your camera doing things like that? Thank you. Alright, Feeding Pit. You really progression. What else is in logic? Phase on grounds. Bot W. A reliquary is not an STK. That's actually a bit interesting. I had a good feeling about that check. Well, shit. Aegon's clear. Oh, you know what it could have been? We should have at least poked our noses into the first check of Lower Torvis. That's actually a bit of a blunder. Because that check is in logic. Yeah, it's definitely feeling like we have just missed a Chica key somewhere. Um, we're meant to go get that Dark Visor, go get our Spider. Although I guess Spider is also either grab or boost locked. No, this way. We're going to pot W. So that's a bit interesting. So the chain isn't going to be that unless we find one of those other two items. Now that said, oops, we get a bunch of key bearer doodads as soon as we get Dark Visor. Like Battleground was a morph ball system, so that might just be our boost, and then we can go get our spider, and then we have Sank. Maybe that's the playthrough. Yeah, Seed sucks. This is a hell of an intro to Echoes Rando for people. That's something. Hate leaving that behind before Torvis. Hard to have routed that in before Torvis. I don't know. They are good seeds. Like you can get to key hints at like, 40 minutes sometimes. Beat Go -1, have translators, go get find a hint for your Go mode item, and you're just done in like an hour 20, hour 30. Like those seeds feel great. The seeds were when Emerald and Cobalt are buried, those seeds usually are pretty painful. So we're still gonna hit up Phazon Grounds. Like at this point, my suspicion is that it's just in the Grove side of Torvis is our answer. Like the third Chica Key's over there. But this is like vaguely on the way to Torvis. Vaguely, if you squint, it's on the way. And the absolute and also I'm defending against missing a Chica key here. We absolutely want to be able to kill Chica the next time we're in Torvis. It would be a disaster if we can't. And yeah, missing a boost ball would have been pretty bad, huh? Versus cannon? Boost. Gross! Both of these stupid out of the way. Temple Grounds checks that open up with Light Beam. We're required, huh? Ate that. Let's get to. That'll mean the spider ball is accessible without any trick nonsense once we presumably find a Chica key and fight Chica here. At that point, we're kind of cooking. Our go mode would then just be finding Echo Visor. And one more Amorbus Key. With Boost in hand, I do think it is time to check Hall of Honor Dead on our way to Torvus as well. Again, we really don't want to leave a Torvus Key behind here. Having to go into Torvus a third time would be truly terrible. And at this point, like, we've done most everything else. Like, I think... Is that true? Is this the one check in the game outside of Torvus that's in Logic? It might be. I don't think Boost did anything else for us. So that is another kind of common thing with my routing style is I try pretty hard to not have to go into a region 3 times. Like my first pass of a region, I'm pretty content to like do the quick things, do the logical things, grab my hints, move on. And again, this is more talking about the mid game once it's opened up. Like early on, I think you do want to be pretty dang thorough. But if I ever have to go back to a region, I usually try to be pretty thorough there. And like anything that I'm not doing that time is like an actual strategic. I am skipping this. It's going to be kind of close to my last location. Which, if you do that too many times, like you are on average going to be wrong one or more times and have a very bad time. But you'll sometimes get away with it if you do it sparingly. That's why, like, even in my second pass of, like, Sank, like, I will often not do Airy, even if it's in Logic, because, like, Airy is very slow. Ranovania doesn't often put things there for reasons that I don't really understand. And so, like, it's a pretty safe skip. It's also, like, kind of a lot of the meta, like, nobody does Airy, which means, like, even if you don't do Airy and something was there, your opponent probably also didn't do Airy and didn't get the thing there, so you're on even footing rather than way behind. That kind of stuff. I wonder if it's faster to have gone through Path of Roots rather than going this way and then poking our head in to get the hint. That'd have been faster to just go through Path of Roots. Definitely am interested in hints. Either boss key hint, well, particularly the Amorbus key hint, because I'm expecting, I'm expecting that the last Horus key is one of the next, like, 3 or 4 checks we're going to do in this seed. But the Amorbus key hint could be very strong, the Echo hint could be very strong. I am assuming that the movement system is gravity. And that is because of the fact that, like, where because Screw Attack was early, Grapple has, like, actually no logical value. Oh. Whatever. We're gonna do these last checks and then assume it's still there, and if I'm wrong, then we'll read that hint. Let's do this first. I am worried about this check, and again, we like when we finish this. When we come out of Grove here, we're gonna be right by the portal, so we want to be able to take that portal and go do Chica. So leaving the key behind here would be kind of nasty. I want to defend against that. Nope. Not even gonna do anything here yet. We will be back after Dark Visor. Cause yeah, oh, you know, the last Chica key can't be down here now, huh? That sucks. Where could it be? I guess not. Maybe it can't really be anywhere. It could be like Grapple Guardian or Under Transit. No, because it... maybe I do need to have read that hint. Dark Torvis. Okay. That's helpful, but not really helpful to my current dilemma of whether I'm supposed to do upper or lower Torvis. Oh my god. Cobalt on blog. What is this frickin' seed, man? So that's a spicy one. I will definitely be tempted to play for that when we play lower Torvis for Spider. Because we can do the Graveless fight. And then fight PB Guardian to escape. And Under Temple's a key anyways, so like we need to do Under Temple. So that will come down to, I guess, another thing of like, is that a fight you're comfortable with doing? We have so much E. Okay, here. Three more in Lower Torvis, and then Mining Plaza. Oops. Okay, brain. It's probably good to, like, get the item, I guess. What is going on? Alright, slight, mental shutdown there. Back on track. Let's get this SDK before we leave, perhaps. Alright, so the reason I was reacting to that hint is because I have concluded that, like, there's a couple spots in lower Dark Torvis and a couple spots in upper Dark Torvis this Chica key can be in. And that makes it kind of painful to decide what we're supposed to do. I'm going to choose to live in the universe where it's just here on Boost Guardian. But if it's not here, then our Chica key is chilling on, like, Grapple Guardian or Under Transit 1. Right, we didn't find a key in Dark Torvis already, did we? Chica key. Damn it. get a key out of? Oh, we got them early, right? Temple Grounds and Aegon? We must be missing the Dark Torvus one. I remember being at 2 before I entered Torvus. Alright, this is yet another place where Ashby Chasm probably saves a little bit of time. They have a couple portal transitions, but... we will do it straight up. So what the game wants us to do is go lower Torvus, go to Training Chamber, do the little boost puzzle, hit the Gathering Hall, bomb the slot, take that portal, start clearing lower Dark Torvus. If you are comfortable with some lower Torvus movement, we have some slightly better things to do than that, which is either go to Catacombs and take the portal there by one means or another, or to go to just directly to Gathering Hall. Take the portal there. This isn't really doing that much in terms of sequence breaking the underwater dash, otherwise we just have to go through Training Chamber and then over. I'm just going to save myself a little bit of time. But this didn't really change the overall route of this seed. In fact, it's delaying us a hint. But we'll get all these hints soon enough anyways. There's really... the whole seed is getting bottlenecked by Chica, so we just gotta find this stinking Torvus key. Echo 2 from Sacred Bridge. Oh. Oh. Right, Boost did do something. Boost sure did do something, didn't it? It opened up Annihilators in Logic. And also Echo in FTA is in Logic. Alright. Echo FTA. Alright. So we are one Aegon key for go mode. Just a heck of a lot of cleanup to do. There she blows. Presumably. Yeah. Alright, we are out of here. We need the Dark Visor. We need the Dark Visor in dungeon, so we're gonna be back in Lower Torvus with, like, soon anyways with Dark Visor, so there's no need to do any more of it right now. onwards to Chica. And after Chica, for the third time, Cashby Chasm will present itself as a good routing option. You will see why when people make lists of good out-of-bounds to know. That is way up there on the list. Being able to quickly go from Upper to Lower Torvis in Light or Dark World is quite often valuable. Because yeah, we need to go to Lower Torvis to get that Chica key, and then as soon as we get the Chica done, we're going to want to go back to Lower Torvis to get our Spider Ball. After that, so we now know there are 2 majors on the way to Vanilla Sank entrance. So FTA's got Echo, and then Sank entrance itself has Annihilator. And we will have picked up, out of logic, the Cobalt. So at that point, we're just going to play Sank entrance. So our route is Chica to Dungeon to Undertemple to Fight Blog, back through Undertemple to Safe Warp into the front of Sank. Unless, and on the way we're going to get our last 2 Emerald hints, and we're going to scan every Cobalt hint we see for a while, and eventually if we get a Aegon Key hint that tells us something other than Sank, we're gonna go there and start clearing everything else. Otherwise, we're gonna be clearing Sank because that's where the bulk of the checks are left. That's kind of our plan from here on out, I think. Yeah, for Chica, Light Beam when we swimming around. Aaron posted a very detailed and 8% guide somewhere in Echo Stealth, I think, recently. Light Beam while he's swimming around. Supers if he's doing the jump out of the water. And like Dark Beam and Missiles or Annihilator when he comes out of the water. And then the belly is a weak spot, so lock onto it when you can, either when you're jumping out of the water or when you've kind of knocked it out of the... Here's where we wish we had Cannonball. Oh, I lost all my Dark Beam already. That's not ideal. Not even sure I should be doing these on charge dark shots. Maybe I should be switching to power. This is not a good Chica fight. Why are you? No, you're turning all the way over there. At least we can get an ammo refill after we knock it down. Oh, did I go far? Okay. Oh, no, I did miss. God damn it. This fight sucks. Oh no, I did lock onto that one. Seeker's just seekered. I want you to make some. Oh, you went over there. Fuck. I hope I'm quick enough. Misjudge which direction you were facing. Ah, God damn it. What a shitty Chica fight. I don't left Dark Aim anywhere. Okay, thank you, Seekers, at least for cooperating that time. Yeah, Light Beam always the best bet for the Dark Adult phases. Annihilator's pretty good if you've got it and you've got the ammo to spare for the light phases of the adult. Shit, not worth there, but whatever. Alright. I am gonna cash Chasm just out of the interest of time. Otherwise we would go take the portal and Dark Forgotten Bridge and just come down. Head towards we would go into we need to go into the training chamber, do the boost ball towards the dark beam door, and that'll get us into catacombs, and then we can, or actually I guess trickless we'd have to go back to Gathering Hall. Yeah, trickless would be back to Gathering Hall, over to dungeon, and then back out. So we're gonna save ourselves a little bit of time, but it doesn't change the kind of overall strategy of the route here. I just am kind of worried about my schedule here. So, throw that thing early. Did I hit that? Oh? Right. That's not a beginner trick, but I choose to believe in you that you can get that done. Saves us having to go through the dark version of Gathering Hall. But again, doesn't really overall change the shape of the route. I'm just trying to cruise here towards the end. So yeah, we want to get all the SDKs out of here before we leave. And we'd like to get this cobalt too. So now all we need is one amorphous key. We have no idea right now where it is. Is the seed, I guess, worth saying that the amorphous wall crawl and or the mining plaza SAU would be pretty powerful because we'd be in go mode right now. We would just be able to go, once we finish up this lower Torvis stuff, we wouldn't even need to worry about the cobalt. We just grab these 3 SDKs and bail, go cheat our way to the mining plaza, and then we're done. So yeah, that out of bounds is very strong this seed as well. Welcome, came here. How about the amorphous keys just like right here next to the STK? Wouldn't that be nice? Nope. There's always money in the banana stand. Yep. Progression does like to be an underground tunnel. Sorry, I'm answering questions in chat for anyone watching this video. Or answering comments in chat. Wondering what the hell I'm talking about. No, we're doing... So this is something you could skip if you're not comfortable with this fight. And I wouldn't completely blame you for not wanting to do Grabless Blog, because Grabless Blog is an asshole. But we have so much health, I think y'all would be able to get away with it, even if you end up tanking most of these hits. Air underwater into screw attack here, also really strong. To avoid having to do this stupid fight. That was super took way too long to come out for some reason. Why did they make it RNG that he opens his mouth? It's just such bad freaking boss design. That was way too early. Okay, we're running out of missiles, which is very much not ideal. Almost got it, at least. Alright, but having Cobalt in hand is very nice. It'll mean we definitely can get our Egg key hint. So we'll be less reliant on stumbling into it. It'll help us focus on where we're meant to go. Unfortunately, it's a little less powerful just because we've like almost full cleared everything that isn't sank. So like when the hint inevitably says sank, not that interesting. We never know. There are a couple straggling lower Torvus checks we've not done. Aegon might actually. Aegon's got like Incash 2, I guess. A couple Temple Grounds checks. So we're gonna head back. We still need to do a training chamber. Go mode is... the problem is Mining Plaza. Our Echo is in FTA, but we do not know where the third worm key is. And I am trying to play this more straight up, so I'm not planning to cheat for Mining Plaza. Pro tip, pretty much never scan all three of these things if you don't have gravity boost. It just will get you in trouble. Seekers, doing seeker things. I guess we do have the option of just playing directly into Sank from here. I'm just hoping that Echo and Annihilator aren't required. I mean, we know we need Echo, so I guess that's kind of ridiculous. Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous, isn't it? Yeah, we'll stick to our original plan. We will save warp. We will head into Sank from the front, which will net us both Echo and Annihilator. And then we will hunt in Sank until we actually enter Go mode. At this point, I'm going to say I'm not going to finish this. Once we find the third Aegon key, I'm going to say that I'm done. At that point, all we'd have to do is go fight a Morbus. If you hadn't done the skip for sand processing, you would do sand processing while you're in Aegon. Probably after, I don't know. It's a little awkward to drop back in, and that's kind of what I was saying. It's always awkward to get back into labs. I guess you could do it like... Yeah, no, it's just awkward. Probably the best time is like on your way to return the energy to the energy controller, you just pop over, do sand processing, and then you head over to Mining Plaza, but still doesn't feel great. Oops, helps to shoot all 5 Seekers. Did we ever do the ship? I don't think we did, huh? Imagine. Imagine. Imagine me not doing the GFMC ship. Oh god, don't fucking tell me, dude. It will never not be funny. It will never not be funny how many times I get owned by not coming back to GFMC. Alright, that is go mode. So yeah, go kill a Morbus at this point. We would take the front road into Aegon. Front road into Aegon, go kill final bosses. We're done, hooray! But yeah, I really need to wrap up and put the finishing touches on packing, and I will be out of town for a couple weeks. We did GFMC first pass without bombs, so we had not killed Jump Guardian. So we could not have gotten this first pass. Although, wait. Oh, when we went to Phase on Grounds, we should have gotten this. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yep, we should have been go mode earlier. That's actually just a blunder on my part. I totally forgot that we had not done the ship. Yep, that's a mistake. Yeah, that was actually part of. I had that in my mind when I was choosing to come this way in our pre-Torvis cleanup, and I just absolutely forgot that this was a thing to do on our way to Phase of Crowds. Yep, absolutely, we should have had this because that could have been the Chica key too. So how would that have changed things? I guess we would have been go mode when we got the Echo hint. We wouldn't have needed to fight Blog. It's probably the biggest thing it would have changed. Otherwise, I think the routing would have been about the same. What the hell? Sank just completely dead this seed? And yet it was still a 2-hour seed. That's interesting. But yeah, that is going to do it for us. Yeah, we probably would have been right around the 2-hour mark, I would guess. By the time we wrapped up all those bosses. Yeah, GG's. Hope y'all enjoyed. I'll see if I can get to another seed or two of this when I get back in town in a couple weeks. But otherwise, we'll see you next time.